You're listening to the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Kendrick, and I'm on a mission to help online business owners like you focus on the right things and take imperfect action. Every week, you'll get my best tips on everything from time management and content creation to planning effectively and managing mindset issues, all in an effort to help you become more productive. So let's jump into this episode. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that we all experience from time to time, feeling overwhelmed. But don't worry, this isn't a doom and gloom episode. On the contrary, we're going to turn that overwhelm on its head. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been feeling extra overwhelmed recently. Last week was a short week because of the 4th of July holiday, but I also had a big deadline looming this week and another one the first of next week. Needless to say, my desk is covered with sticky notes, my inbox is overflowing, and I feel like I'm juggling a million tasks. And in fact, yesterday I was making bread and working at the same time. I got caught up in work and I forgot to set the timer for my bread's second rise, and it overflowed the pan. Now, this isn't a huge deal, but it is an example of a ball that got dropped because I was trying to juggle too much. And it wouldn't have happened if I weren't feeling so overwhelmed and trying to cram too much into my day. So if this is something you can relate to, then this episode is perfect for you. We'll unpack the emotions behind that overwhelm, explore practical strategies to combat it, and discuss the benefits that come with navigating through overwhelm. And at the end, I've got a Q&A segment where I'm answering a few questions I've received on this topic. So if you're ready to clear the clutter, reduce the stress, and reclaim your productivity, let's dive in. So now that we've set the stage, let's dive into the heart of the matter, the impact overwhelm has on our businesses. Overwhelm is a common component in the life of an online business owner. It creeps up on us when we least expect it. But what exactly triggers those overwhelming feelings? Well, as online entrepreneurs, especially for those of us who run things solo, we are jacks of all trades. We're the CEO, the marketing guru, the finance wizard, the customer service expert. The list goes on and on. Each role comes with its own unique set of tasks, goals, and deadlines. And when all the different responsibilities pile up, they become a mountain that seems impossible to climb. Imagine being in a room filled with balloons. Each balloon represents a task or responsibility. At first, it's fun. You can bat a few balloons around, keeping them in the air, but not taking up too much space around you. But as more and more balloons are added, it becomes harder to manage. They start to fill the room. They crowd your space and make it hard to move and hard to breathe. I'm actually getting a little claustrophobic just talking about it. That's what overwhelm feels like. It's the point where there are so many balloons that you can't see anything else. The impact of overwhelm can really wreak havoc on your business. Productivity suffers because there's so much to do, and it becomes hard to focus on one thing and do it well. Deadlines start to whoosh past, becoming nothing but a blur. The quality of your work might dip as you rush to complete tasks just to get them done, and that can lead to dissatisfied clients or low-quality products. Your business starts to feel like a burden instead of a source of joy. It ends up feeling like a demanding boss that's constantly asking for more and more of your time and energy. And what about the emotional toll? Overwhelm is not just about having too much to do. It's also about how it makes us feel. Stress, anxiety, frustration, these are all emotions that go hand in hand with overwhelm. Overwhelm can also lead to burnout, a state of chronic physical and emotional exhaustion. It can make you question why you started your business in the first place. It can make you feel isolated and trapped in a cycle of endless tasks and increasing pressure. And one of the most profound effects is that it can make you lose sight of your why, your purpose. It can make you forget the reason you started your business in the first place, the dreams and goals that you had. Instead of being a passionate entrepreneur, you become a worker bee, just ticking off tasks. So I think you can see that overwhelm is a serious issue, right? It's something we need to address because if it's left unchecked, it can wear us down to the point that our businesses are crippled. But knowledge is power. By understanding what triggers overwhelm and how it impacts our businesses, we can take steps to manage it and keep it from spiraling out of control. So, next up, we'll look at some practical strategies to combat overwhelm and bring the joy back into running our businesses. Okay, now that we've looked at the roots of overwhelm and the impact it has, let's switch gears and talk about some actionable steps you can take to kick overwhelm to the curb. First on the list is decluttering your office space. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You thrive in organized chaos, right? I'm one of those people too. But hear me out on this. A clean and organized workspace can do wonders for your productivity and for your mindset. Think about it. When your desk is piled high with papers, when sticky notes are covering your computer screen, when you can't find that important document because it's buried under a mountain of clutter, it adds to your stress. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, except the needle is your productivity and the haystack is your messy desk. So take some time to sort through the clutter. Get rid of anything that's not serving a specific purpose. Those old sticky notes from 2019, you can let them go. That pile of papers gathering dust on the corner of your desk, sort through it. Scan or file what you need to keep and get rid of the rest. Create a workspace that inspires you and motivates you, not one that adds to your stress. Now let's talk about delegation. As entrepreneurs, we often feel the need to do everything ourselves. We're the CEOs, the marketers, the customer service reps. Remember all the hats we talked about earlier? But here's the thing, you don't always have to wear all the hats. It's okay to pass one or two of them to someone else. Decide what tasks you can delegate or outsource. Maybe it's your social media management. Maybe it's your bookkeeping. Maybe it's something on the personal side, like cleaning your house. By delegating some tasks, you can free up your time to focus on the work that only you can do. Remember, even superheroes have sidekicks. Batman had Robin, Buffy had the Scoobies. You can have VAs or freelancers. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. You don't have to do it all on your own. Moving on, let's tackle the big digital beast, your inbox. A cluttered inbox can be a major source of overwhelm. Emails piling up, important messages getting lost in a sea of newsletters and promotions. But managing your inbox doesn't have to feel like moving mountains. Start by unsubscribing from newsletters that you never read. Create folders for different kinds of emails, client correspondence, invoices, project updates, etc. Then set aside specific times of day, low energy times are best, to check and respond to emails. That way you're not constantly interrupting your work to deal with incoming mail. And shut down your email tab when you're not using it. That will keep you from being tempted to just pop over and check your inbox when you're trying to focus on something else. Now let's move on to your computer. If your desktop is cluttered with files and folders, or if you spend more time searching for a file than actually working on it, it's time for a digital cleanup. Organize your files into folders. Delete what you don't need, or if you can't bring yourself to delete things, then set up an archive folder and just dump old stuff in that. Plus, back up important documents. A well-organized computer can save you precious time. Plus, it's just less stressful when you see a neat and tidy desktop as opposed to a chaotic jumble of folders and files. Lastly, let's talk about your online presence, your website and social media channels. These platforms are often the first point of contact between you and potential clients or students. They represent your business, so you want to make a good impression, and that means keeping them updated and clutter-free. So remove outdated content from your website, freshen up your homepage, make sure your branding is consistent across all of your platforms, update your bios, You might even consider removing old posts from your social media channels or remove references to social media channels you no longer use from your website. There's no point sending people to places that you don't hang out. Now, if all this sounds like a lot to keep up with, don't worry, I have a toolkit that can help. It's called the Spring Clean Your Biz Toolkit, and don't let the name throw you off. You can do spring cleaning at any time of year, right? This toolkit will help you declutter, organize, and streamline your business. It includes checklists and processes to help you tackle every aspect of decluttering your business, and I'll drop a link to it in the show notes. And remember that tackling overwhelm is not a one-time task. It's a continuous process. If you make it a habit, you can turn the tide. So we've explored the triggers of overwhelm and talked about some practical strategies to overcome it. Now let's look at the payoff. What happens when you become a pro at managing overwhelm? What are the benefits? Well, the immediate benefits are easy to see. When you're not constantly feeling overwhelmed, you're able to focus better. Your mind isn't cluttered with a cajillion different tasks, so you can actually concentrate on what's in front of you. You're able to be more productive, to get more done in less time. And let's be honest, who doesn't love checking off tasks on their to-do list? So those are the immediate benefits. But there's more. When you're not perpetually stressed and anxious, your work quality improves. You're able to give your best to each task, each project, each client. You're not just rushing to get things done. You're taking time to do them well. And that can lead to happier clients, better reviews, and ultimately more business. Managing overwhelm also means less burnout. You're not constantly running on empty and pushing yourself to the brink of exhaustion. Instead, you're able to maintain a steady pace. You can get into a sustainable rhythm. That means you're less likely to crash and burn and more likely to keep going strong. And then there's the morale boost. Overwhelm can make you feel like you're drowning or constantly trying to stay afloat. But when you learn to manage overwhelm, it boosts your confidence and you start to feel like you can take on whatever comes your way. Another benefit is that you're able to maintain a healthy work-life balance. I don't know about you, but work-life balance is so important to me. We want to make sure that we have time for family, friends, and hobbies. So as I hope you've realized, mastering overwhelm is a win-win situation. It benefits you and it benefits your business. But do keep in mind that this is a process. You may not master it overnight, and that's totally okay. The important thing is to keep trying, to keep moving forward, even if you're just taking baby steps. So we've spent some time discussing the ins and outs of overwhelm, practical strategies to tackle it, and the benefits of getting it under control. Now it's time for the Q&A that I mentioned earlier. I've pulled together a few questions from my audience, and I hope that by answering them, it will give you a little more insight into ways that you can conquer overwhelm. So let's dive into the first question. Question 1 is from Julie, and she asks, how can I identify the signs of overwhelm before it gets too intense? That is a great question. Identifying the signs of overwhelm early really helps to prevent it from escalating into something unmanageable. So here are some common signs to look out for. 1, emotional changes. You might find yourself being moody, crying easily, feeling irritable, or withdrawing from social situations. These could all signal that your stress levels are rising. 2, mental fatigue. Feeling confused, difficulty concentrating, or forgetting things can also be signs of overwhelm. And physical symptoms. It's not just mental and emotional. You could also experience physical symptoms like increased heart rate, headaches, or general body aches when you're feeling overwhelmed. You might also notice changes in behavior like trouble sleeping, procrastination, or neglecting responsibilities. I know when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just want to shut down and not do anything. Remember, everyone's experience is different. You want to tune into your own personal signals, become aware of the symptoms that you experience when you feel overwhelmed, and make note so that you can spot them early and make adjustments. Question 2 comes from Amy, and she asks, how can I manage my time better to prevent feeling overwhelmed? This is an excellent question because time management is so important for preventing overwhelm. Here are a few strategies that you can implement. Prioritize tasks. Not all tasks are created equal, right? We know that. So identify your key priorities and focus on those first. This can help reduce that feeling of having too many balls in the air. Then, if you don't have the time or energy to get to the lower priority things, that's okay. Cut yourself some slack. Another strategy is to use time blocking. I am a huge proponent of time blocking. I've used it for years. It involves dividing your day into blocks of time that are dedicated to a specific task or group of tasks. Time blocking will help you figure out how much time you really have for work, which can keep you from overloading yourself. Also, take regular breaks. A lot of people think this is counterintuitive, but taking short breaks throughout the day gives your brain a chance to rest and recharge. That way, you're more focused when you come back to work, which makes you more productive. And learn to say no. This is a big one. Often we feel overwhelmed because we've taken on too much. Don't be afraid to say no to tasks or commitments that aren't aligned with your priorities or that you simply don't have time for. I just said no to a collaboration last week. It would have been a good opportunity to get in front of a new audience, but I know that I don't have time for it right now and it would end up stressing me out. So I said no. Use tools and apps. There are plenty of tools and apps out there to help with time management. They can help you stay organized, keep track of your tasks, and ultimately manage your time more effectively. So try a few to see which one works better for your brain and your personality. And finally, remember that time management isn't about cramming as many tasks as possible into your day. It's about working smarter and focusing on the right things. And it's really about making the most of the time you have without pushing yourself to the point of overwhelm. Question 3 comes from Caroline, and she asks, how can I make decluttering my business a regular part of my routine rather than a one-time event? This is another fantastic question. Whether you're decluttering your business or your house, making it a regular part of your routine is a great strategy to cope with overwhelm. Here are a few tips on how you can do that. First, schedule it. Just like any other important task, schedule decluttering sessions into your calendar. It might be 15 minutes at the end of each day or a couple of hours at the end of the week. I do recommend that you schedule it for low energy times of day. You don't want to spend your prime creative hours on decluttering. Next, start small. Don't try to declutter your entire workspace in one go. Start with one area or category at a time. That makes the task more manageable. Third, make it fun. Listen to your favorite music or podcast while decluttering. If you make the process enjoyable, you're more likely to include it in your regular routine. And finally, squeeze in short bursts of decluttering into the margins of your day. Decluttering doesn't have to be a big project that you tackle all at once. Do you have a few minutes in between appointments? Or maybe before you have to pick up the kids from school? Spend a few minutes decluttering something. Maybe it's a desk drawer or cleaning out a few emails. Remember, the goal of decluttering isn't to create an Instagram perfect space. It's to create a work environment that supports your business and mental well-being. So find a routine and strategy that works for you. All right, we're nearing the end of today's episode, but before we wrap up, let's take a moment to revisit the key points we've discussed. We started by unpacking overwhelm, understanding its triggers, and recognizing its impact on our businesses. Keep in mind that it's a common problem for entrepreneurs, but it's not an insurmountable one. Then we looked at some practical strategies to manage and reduce overwhelm. We talked about decluttering our workspaces, inboxes, computers, and even online presence. We also talked about delegation and letting go of tasks that can be handled by others. Finally, we looked at the payoff, the benefits of kicking overwhelm to the curb. It's not just about productivity or improving work quality, although those are significant benefits. It's also about boosting morale, avoiding burnout, and achieving a healthy work-life balance. Now here's the part where we turn words into action. I want to challenge you to take one strategy discussed today and put it into practice in your business. Maybe it's decluttering your workspace, or organizing your inbox, or trying out a new time management app. Whatever it is, take that first step. And when you find that strategy helpful, don't stop there. Try another one, and then another one. Beating overwhelm is not a one-and-done event. These strategies are all tools for your toolbox, so pull them out as you need them. And thanks so much for listening to the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast. Head on over to tanyakendrick.com/3 to view the show notes. You'll find links to all the resources mentioned, and if you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you'd take a moment to leave a rating and review. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe so that you can listen as soon as the next episode is released. Have a great day. And before you go, if you like what you hear on the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast, then come check out the Organized Business Toolbox. It's my monthly membership for solo entrepreneurs who want to feel in control and take imperfect action to move their businesses forward. When you join, you'll get instant access to the Training and Resource Vault, and a new toolbox or course drops every month. Plus, we have monthly Voxer office hours where you can privately ask me questions and get my direct feedback. If that sounds like something you need, the link is in the show notes, or visit tanyakendrick.com, and I'll see you on the inside.